All right, friends, it's T-Man, and we are back with a new video. It's on JasonBlaha again, man. Can't get enough of this guy. The gym lifting, recruiting, lifting slave himself, JasonBlaha. Yes, man, he just popped this video up. I'm going to do a reaction video to it, man. Let's see what JasonBlaha says. Blaha says, how low-carb diets create the illusion of leanness. They do they? Why is that? Why are you eating carbs, though? It's an artificial diet. It's not your human diet.
Hey everybody, it's JasonBlaha here. I thought I would sit down and do another video for you guys and gals. Let me give you guys a bicep shot first. Oh.
Okay. His arms look weird. The left to the right looks, I don't know, man. Looks disturbing. I think it's the camera angle. He's trying to make his right side look bigger than his left side, because look at the forearm, the wrist. Yeah, it's the way he's tilted. Anyway, his arms are small, man. 13 inches.
Oh, Mount Biceps. Don't want to get that one. Got the tricep veins going. Starting to get leaner, slowly coming along. All right, speaking of getting leaner, let's talk.
You know why he's doing this? Because I kept pushing him in my video. He watches my videos. I kept pushing him to pose. I said, why doesn't he pose to show you? If that's the best he could do, man, at least pose in a tank top, or at least when you're naked in your garage, pose for us. See what we want to see what you look like. No lats, no arms, nothing. There's nothing there, dude. It just, he's wearing a shirt, so it's kind of going to accentuate his arms. It's obvious you're going to see his arms, but without it, forget it.
A little bit about low-carb diets. So this is a nuanced topic because people will say, Jason, why do you give conflicting information on that? And I want to be clear, it's not conflicting information, it's nuanced.
Yeah, it's conflicting information. It is information. It's conflicting. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Nuanced information. When I say that people can do lower carb diets to look leaner,
listen to the word. Do a lower carbohydrate diet to look leaner. Why do you need carbs if protein builds muscles, Blaha? What's the purpose behind carbs?
Don't mean that they're going to lose body.
Because they're from plants. If it's a carb, it's a drug. It's drugs. Plants are drugs.
Fat. I want to be.
It's energy. It's energy, and it raises your metabolic rate, which increases age. You're aging, accelerates aging.
I want to be extremely clear there.
Yeah.
I want to be extremely clear there. There is nothing magical about reducing carbohydrates and reducing body fat or getting a leaner gains. If anything,
a leaner gains when you're eating carbs, especially complex carbs. Boy, he doesn't know the difference between simple carbs and complex carbohydrates.
If anything, if you're trying to maximize every last drop of lean gains or recomposition, it actually makes more sense to remove fats from your diet, particularly saturated fats, particularly things maybe like animal source, monounsaturated fats, and to focus on...
Drop animal fats? What is he talking about? Man, you don't drop any animal fat or protein or anything. He's crazy.
Very low-fat diets and keep the carbohydrates a bit higher, okay?
What? And then keep the carbohydrates higher? What type of carbohydrates, Blaha? The simple carbs, which you're eating all day, that make you fat, or the complex carbohydrates, which don't spike insulin, but are absorbed into the muscle as glycogen, which create the sarcoplasmic hypertrophy?
I mean, if we're going to discuss the body composition side, can we get the most absolute every last drop of muscle tissue? Can we do so while minimizing fat gain? Right? That would actually be preferable if we were chasing optimal.
Yeah, you want to drop carbohydrates, simple carbs. You want to drop any sugar, refined sugar, or carbohydrates, which convert to sugar. You want to drop them because they make you fat. Now, as far as complex carbohydrates, they're absorbed into the muscle as glycogen. What about it?
Now, can that still be achieved with a lower carb approach? Absolutely. But that is if we're trying to really min-max.
Again, what kind of carbohydrate?
Things use a gaming term here, right? Right, you're trying to meta game. That may be the way to go. However, what we need to be aware of, if you're trying to look really lean, bringing carbohydrates down absolutely helps. It helps drop water underneath your skin.
Wow, what an idiot. Let's bring the carbohydrates down. It drops water between the skin. Carbohydrates make you fat. They make you fat. They spike insulin. They make you fat. Now, as far as complex carbohydrates, they don't spike insulin, and they're absorbed as glycogen in the muscle.
So something worth mentioning there, if you're trying to look leaner than you really are. Now, we could make the case for people when they get shredded enough. I'm talking contest lean bodybuilders. It may not matter. In other words, there's a certain point where they might chase muscle fullness, so they want to be carved up. Okay,
they want to chase muscle for fullness, so they want to be carved up. These bodybuilders, they're doing it the wrong way. That's their problem. They carb up, but they carb up with the wrong carbs. You need to carb up with complex carbohydrates so they don't spike your insulin and they're absorbed as glycogen into the muscle. But if you eat simple carbs, well, guess what's going to happen? It's not going to really get absorbed in your muscle. It doesn't absorb in your muscle. It doesn't absorb well. It's going to make you fat. That's what it's going to do. Make you hold water too.
Maximizing glycogen stores or whatever, if they're shredded in terms of body.
Maximizing glycogen stores, complex carbohydrates. You don't want to eat simple carbs. They're going to make you fat. Every bodybuilder, any real bodybuilder, a smart one, will know that. The stupid ones, they eat carbs. They're stupid.
Yeah. But they're also going to be prone to not really holding water under the skin if they simply get all the fat. If you get all the fat out from under your skin, you're going to look shredded. So we want to be clear there. But when we're talking about people who are in that...
Get all the fat, yeah. You want to get dry, yeah, definitely. Okay, whatever.
Term, that intermediate area where they're not that ripped technically on a tissue level, dropping carbohydrates down can make you look a lot leaner.
Yeah, dropping carbohydrates so that you're not fat, right? You're not gaining fat, definitely will make you leaner. Yes, Blaha. I must agree.
You're not, but I want to be clear, you're not losing body fat. But that is one of the reasons there is this big myth perpetuated when people are like,
that's why you're not gaining body fat? Well, yeah, you drop the carbs. They make you fat. Yes.
Really lean when I cut carbs. You're not really.
I got really lean when I cut carbs because carbs make you fat.
Getting lean, you're dropping water. Okay, and
you're not getting lean. You're dropping water. What are you talking about? You're dropping triglyceride. Dude, man, this guy is really out to lunch. Carbs make you fat, dude.
We need to drop the pseudoscience side because this has not been confirmed in the lab. You know, people say, well, yeah, so when you cut carbs, you're losing water, but it's all intermuscular water due to glycogen stores.
What kind? He never mentions what kind of glycogen stores. Oi, man, from complex carbs, it's not going to happen with freaking simple carbs, dude.
That's not actually what's been found to happen in the lab. So
look, man, I do bodybuilding, okay? I'm going to tell you right now, if I eat any carbs, they're not loading in the muscle. They're not loading in the muscle as glycogen. They're going to make me fat. Now, when I eat complex carbohydrates, they load as glycogen in the muscle. They don't spike insulin, and they load rapidly. That's why in the old days, people will tell you, eat steak and potatoes. Steak and potatoes. Why? Because potatoes are complex. That's why. They didn't eat anything else. You understand me? That was the formula. Steak and potatoes. Eat lots of steak and potatoes. A combination of both. And you would get to your destination.
You need to be clear. People bring that up. They're like every gram of muscle glycogen attracts 4 grams of water. So if every drop of...
What kind? What kind? Man. Yeah, it does. But it's based on complex carbs, dude.
Carbohydrate you drop out of the muscles dropping 5 grams of water, so you're dropping intramuscular water.
You're not dropping all that. When you're on steroids, it's going to retain the sarcoplasm. That sarcoplasmic hypertrophy is retained by the steroid. It's not going to relieve it, because that's the point of taking steroids. You understand me? But if you're a natural person, you probably would burn it out.
But is that really what happens? Studies on athletes who follow low-carb diets for a while who are fat adapted, they find that their glycogen storage isn't different from people on higher carb.
Fat adapted? Low carb diets, fat adaptive? Whoa, man. Yeah. That usually happens when you eat a high-fat animal diet, fat adaptive. Well, he's got it confused with carbohydrate diets. It's crazy.
Hydrates. Okay? I'm sorry, that is what multiple studies have confirmed. So they're not dropping glycogen per se to that same degree that's being demonstrated there. People say, well, then why do you lose a lot of the water weight? Because of shifts in aldosterone. When carbohydrates get really low, our body excretes electrolytes faster. Okay? Now the potassium in, not necessarily good. You don't always lose potassium because that is going to...
Which body type are you talking about? Ectomorphs? I know a lot of ectomorphs. They eat a lot of carbohydrates. They don't get fat. They'll even tell you, I eat so much, but I can't put on weight. Why can't they put on weight? It's body type, man. But anyways, whatever.
Be, a lot of your insular cellular water, right, particularly inside your muscles. But the sodium itself, when your body starts excreting sodium faster, what happens? We lose water under the skin easier. That's one of the things. So that's one of the reasons, like when I've done water cuts and I put up the pictures of me right before I go get on the scale, people are like, oh my God, you're shredded. You went from being a soft, fluffy power lifter to you're ripped all of a sudden, like a week later. Yeah, because I dropped water. And because I'm doing a full water cut at that point, my body's excreting all of that water, and that does suck it out from under the skin. And the same thing happens to a lesser degree when you cut carbohydrate out. It's shift in some of your hormones, like aldosterone levels. Okay, and particularly for enhanced lifters, that's a really big deal.
It shifts your hormones. Oh man. Well, enhanced lifters, okay.
That's a really big deal because holding lots of water weight is one of the side effects of a lot of various illicit supplements. We'll call them that.
Now he's a pro in bodybuilding. Blaha is a pro now in bodybuilding. Okay, he went on a cut and now he's a pro in bodybuilding. Wow.
Okay, I mean, this was being written about decades ago, even in like Muscular Development magazine, which was the only magazine back in the day when I was over there that was open about that stuff. They were saying the same thing, like, look, if you're trying to do tons and tons of tests and you're too bloated, just cut your carbs out and replace them with healthy fats, you'll drop all that bloat. Like they were writing about it. It was like John Romano, that was his name. He was writing about that. Like this was known back then. That was why the anabolic diet was really popular in the enhanced bodybuilder circles. Right? But it's one of the reasons because they drop water weight. They look leaner. So we need to be clear though, but it does happen for naturals also. But it has to do with shifts in fluid balance due to sodium and electrolyte excretion. Okay? Because that is a big part of those diets. So yes, when carbohydrates are lower, you start looking leaner. But it's not because you're losing body fat. It can be a tool for dropping water weight. Now, taken too far though, you see we're about to go, you will get flatter muscles. So that is the other end of the scale. So for someone who's really ridiculously lean, like they really are 5 or 6% body fat, which is not sustainable, they're going to run into a problem where they just start looking really flat and smaller, potentially, for bodybuilding purposes, like on a stage or a photo shoot. So that is the other end of that extreme. But for people who just want to look leaner year-round, it's a viable approach, right? So there's a reason so many models and fitness influencers and physique types swear by lower carbohydrate diets. They're like, it helps me get shredded because it's helping them drop water. They're holding less water weight, therefore they look leaner. okay? But we do need to understand that it is a fluid balance difference. It is not causing more fat loss, okay? Because you're still dealing with calories in, calories out. You're still dealing with all of those things in there. And again, if anything, we could technically make the case for lower fat, higher carbohydrate, or particularly really high protein diets are your best key to maximizing body composition. And we could also make the case over someone trying to do that on a lower carb approach with more fats. This is just protein overfeed, and you'll probably get a potentially similar effect. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today.
I don't think he knows how the human body works. It still works the way it works out in nature. When you are eating a lot of, let's say, animal meat, okay, when you're eating a lot, I mean a lot, you're not starving. You're not starving. But when it drops low to a certain degree where it's really low, there's a trigger in your body. Your body thinks, okay, we need to prepare, we need to put on fat because we may be going through a famine, right? Also, if you're in a cold climate, you may tend to eat more and your body will start storing fat. Stores fat as energy to keep you warm as well. That fat keeps you warm. But yeah, there's a lot of triggers. The environment can trigger a lot of things in your body. That's why I say you're domesticated. What happens when you're in a hot climate? What happens when you move to a cold climate? Cold adaptive, hot adaptive. Man, tigers, I think it's tigers, right? They're one of the animals that are able to adapt to a cold climate and a hot climate. Lions can't do that. But they could do it on a whim. So there you go. And yeah, you're going to look different if you are adapting to a cold climate than a hot climate. You know, most people look really, these Africans, they look really lean. Tall and lean, and yeah, they're adapted to a hot climate. People in a cold climate, they're usually going to have somewhat higher body fat, and they'll be adapted to cold weather. Yeah. So, yeah, and they're still eating animal products. Let's say these people in cold climates, they're eating animal products, and these Africans are eating animal products too, like, you know, animal meat, animals. Why are they leaner in Africa? See what I mean? Why are they leaner? Because they're not using that much energy up. They're heat adaptive, so they don't need that much. Your body's at a certain temperature. It needs to keep yourself at a certain temperature. You know, it's complex how the body works, but yeah, that's why I say you're domesticated. What domesticates you? Well, a lot of things. Your diet, the environment, a lot of things. Where you are. You know, a whole bunch of things domesticate people. Yeah, they become domesticated. They're not the same people, moving around the world, different places, whatever. Especially these artificial environments like the city. And Blaha is domesticated. He's so domesticated, man. And now he's turned bodybuilder. Anyways, tell me what you think about that. Like, subscribe, support the channel. I'll see you in the next video. Interesting. Ciao, my friends.